School is Kool, cool. School of Beards, Chapter 3, Rainbow Beards Exit. Well, here we go. Thanks, ReddX, for reading the first two parts of this. Got you, fam. I always enjoy your commentary on these stories. I hope everyone else is enjoying these as much as Beetle and I are enjoying writing them. Let me just say, ReddX is awesome. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you even doing with your life? No, that's true, especially if you're in my own personal subreddit r/ReddXReads. I don't understand that logic whatsoever. Also, the ReddX community on Discord has become one of my favorite communities online, and you should pop in and say hey. Yeah, cool kids only. Kool. Alright, enough of that. I'm doing a short version of the cast list again. Not sure how long this saga will go, and I don't want the cast list to get too repetitive. Maybe I'll do a longer one every 5 parts or so. Anyway, let's get to it. Cast list, very abbreviated. I don't actually see any new faces here except for Sonia, Gabby, Allison, who are English 1, 1, and 2 teachers, respectively. And yeah, Callie. Good old Callie, cracking me up at the wrong moments. Ever since the incident where Englishbeard had used the nasty word, it had been a divisive issue in the department, and the Legbeards were in a constant state of outrage that he was even still employed. I mostly tried to steer clear of it, but that was easier said than done when students kept getting dragged into the drama, and that is really the part that pissed me off the very most. Rainbow Beard and Pitbeard were still part of the rumor mill with the students, and they were continuing to try and spread the falsehood that Englishbeard was a racist. This continued to tick me off. They were trying to ruin a man's livelihood and reputation over what was essentially a mistake. Was it a pretty ugly mistake? Yeah, duh, but there was also no malice behind it. Simply frustration. See, but that doesn't matter to them. They just want to know that they have control over somebody else's life and well-being. Ugh, and they're gonna allow it to happen? Oh man. Callie still did inclusion in Englishbeard's class, specifically the class period where the incident had occurred. One day during our ESL meeting, which was usually just the two of us in the ESL room comparing notes on the students, she seemed clearly frustrated. What's wrong? I asked. Englishbeard's like 4th period is like totally stressing me out. The kids still think he's like totally racist or whatever and don't want to be in his classroom, she sighed. Did you get them to go to the counselor and see if they can get a schedule change? I asked. She shook her head. Too many. They can't all get a schedule change. That would be like over half the students in that period alone. Oh, damn. All this because he was trying to get the kids to stop saying those type of words? I asked. Apparently, she said. This is ridiculous. If the admin would actually crack down on students using that language or give us the power to deliver consequences for them, then this wouldn't be an issue. We can't even send the students to bloody detention, I cried, frustrated. Callie nodded. Yeah, totally, exactly, and like, things are about to get totally, like, worse. Oh, bloody freaking hell. How? I asked. Allison turned in her notice, Callie sighed. What? Are you kidding me? Is it because of Englishbeard? I asked. Callie shrugged. Like, in part, I totally think so. I know she was all upset about, like, the situation or whatever, but she was also upset about, like, the whole environment that it caused in the department. Totally, right? The English workroom is tense as hell right now. Oh, I know. I am not welcome in there. That's why Beetle and I eat lunch in here, and I only use the bathroom or make copies when no one else is in the workroom. I nodded. This sounded more and more like a hostile work environment, man. That is all BS in and of itself. Like, you're part of the department too, right? You totally belong in there as much as, like, anyone else, Callie fumed. I shrugged. I made my own bed when I stood up for Englishbeard in the meeting. But you were like totally right, Callie cried. I nodded. Yeah, I think so too, but be that as it may, this is the price. It sucks, and I hate that Beetle and Even you, to an extent, are ostracized because of me. That's the only part that actually upsets me. Callie nodded. Like, yeah, they totally stop talking when I walk in sometimes. With that voice, it totally reminds me of like something totally out of high school, right? Dramatic. It's because you're my friend. If you weren't my friend, then they wouldn't do that. I sighed. I'm sorry. Callie shrugged. Like, totally screw them. The bigger issue here is like Allison leaving and stuff. We were already like totally short-staffed in English 3. I sighed. Yeah, it's gonna suck. Either they just hire someone at random to get a warm body in, or it takes forever to find the right person with this bloody teacher shortage. Callie nodded. Exactly. And things in English 2 are already tense with English Beard retaining his lead teacher role. This is not gonna help. I'm sure Avid Beard is just frothing at the mouth. Ugh. If she actually, like, quote unquote wins in this story, I'm gonna be so sad. Like, nope, not at all. COVID Beard, like, totally argues with every lesson that English Beard or I propose as it is. Ugh. It's just gonna be the 3 of us left, basically, Callie sighed. I nodded. I am, again, so sorry. So yeah, this pretty much sucked, to say the least. With Allison leaving, things were about to become even more strained. I had no idea how much worse things were about to get, however. The next day was the English 1 meeting, and all of us were there. Pitbeard, Sonia, Gabby, Avidbeard, Beetle, and myself. It was a normal meeting, and by that I mean they were already gossiping while Beetle and I sat in the back of the room actually trying to plan some lessons together. What are you doing over there, you job? Lame. I'm all for slacking off when it comes to like a corporation, but I don't know. You're actually in charge of kids, so yeah, I do encourage good teachers teaching. The Cheese Miss group, the Gossip Gals, were on about some chick in the front office that came to high school and always smelled of weed or something like that. A football player that was transferring, a couple of recent fights. Most of it I just tuned out. That's well advised. You don't want to lose more brain cells listening to that. I paid attention just enough so that if they actually started discussing the unit, I'd be able to join in. And did you guys hear that Allison turned in her notice? Gabby asked. Yeah, well, she's not the only one, Pitbeard said. Yeah, Rainbow Beard turned in her notice too. She said she couldn't stomach being on the same team as English Beard anymore. I don't blame her. I refuse to meet with him, Avid Beard said. Now this got my attention because it was a lot to unpack. The first thing I did was look at Avid Beard. Wait, you're both advanced and you refuse to meet with him? Because of what he said, I asked. Avid Beard nodded. I will not meet up with the racist. I refuse to plan with him. It's uncomfortable. I rolled my eyes. I was not getting into this again. So Rainbow Beard is leaving. Are you sure? Pitbeard nodded. She already took another job and told Mr. Principal. I tried to push down the smile that threatened to brighten my face. This was excellent news, in more ways than one. I mean, she is wrong about the whole situation, but at least she, walks the walk. She don't just talk the talk, Avid Beard. Okay, so obviously I was happy to be rid of one of the toxic beards plaguing my department. There was more to it, though. You see, Rainbow Beard was the sponsor of the school's Gay Straight Alliance, GSA, and I had wanted to take that club from her since I had been a substitute. She taught the kids to be victims, that they were so oppressed for who they were, as opposed to teaching them to use their voice in the proper way and actually try to change the things that were oppressive. This was finally my chance to do something good with the GSA. I just had to make sure that I was the one that replaced her as a sponsor. Probably a tall order to fill now that you voice support for English Beard, but hey, dream your biggest dreams, you know? The next day, I promptly went to Mrs. Dean. Hey, do you have a moment? I asked when I saw her office door open. Sure do. Come on in, she said as she motioned for me to come in and close the door. I did so and sat down. A little birdie told me that Rainbow Beard is leaving. 3 English 1 little birdies? She asked. I laughed. Yeah, those are the ones. I figured. Yes, Rainbow Beard is leaving, she said. Well, as you know, I've wanted to take over GSA for a while now with her leaving, and I started, and Mrs. Dean started laughing. What? I asked. Mr. Principal already talked to me about it. He was gonna ask you to take over the club later this week, she said. I was beaming. Really? Awesome. Thank you. You're quite welcome. He'll be reaching out to discuss details with you soon, she said. I was stoked. This is what I had been wanting. So I thought. Oh yes, we always need to be conscious about reprisals. That's exactly what's gonna happen, isn't it? A couple of days later, I was off campus for a doctor's appointment, and when I got back to work, I had an email from Mr. Principal that just said, "Call me." I freaked out, trying to figure out what I could have done. I tried to call him and got no answer, so I spent most of the afternoon worried until he finally called me back. Bro, come on, we know what the call's about, right? Maybe we'll get a twist. Hello, I answered. Mandy, he asked. Yes, sir, I replied. Sorry I didn't call you sooner. I was off campus for an appointment. That's okay. I'm actually out myself with COVID, but I wanted to talk to you about GSA, he said. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that you're sick, I said, wondering what could be so important about GSA when he has COVID. Miss Dean told me you asked about the GSA, and I absolutely want you to be a part of it. You aren't the only one that's expressed interest in sponsoring GSA, though. Rainbow Beard has asked Pitbeard to take over the club, he said. My heart sank. Was I really gonna lose out to Pitbeard? Oh, okay, I said. I'll be honest, Mandy. I want you to sponsor the club. They need guidance. There needs to be an adult in the room. Yeah, he nailed it down. Pitbeard is young, and her inexperience shows sometimes. Maybe working with you would allow her to grow, he said. You want me to try and mentor her? I said. I don't want to tell her that she can't sponsor the club. She already thinks that we're out to get her. I just want someone more level-headed to, keep things in check, if you understand what I'm saying, he said. Bro, he needs to stand up and fight his own battles. OP pointed out in one of the first parts that he's supposed to be impartial, and while yeah, that's true, you also should know when to like take a stand for something that you believe in. I understood all right. He wanted me to rein in Pitbeard because he didn't want to deal with telling her no. Yes, sir, I understand, I said, and you nailed it down. Now, do you think you'll be able to work with her? He asked. Yes, sir. I can work with anyone. I won't lie, she and I will never be friends, but we don't need to be. I'm absolutely capable of keeping it professional and working with her. I'm not sure that I could say the same about her, however, I said. I'm not sure either, but if she isn't, she can absolutely step down from sponsoring the club, he said. I got the feeling that he was almost hoping that that is exactly what she would do. Yeah, playing politics. Fingers crossed that it all works out. It's not gonna work out. Understood, I said. We will all meet when I'm back on campus to ensure that we're all on the same page. I'll have my assistant email you a calendar invite, he said. Sounds great. Hope you feel better soon, I said as we ended the conversation. That afternoon, I filled Callie in. So wait, like Mr. Principal wants you to work with Pitbeard or whatever? She asked. I nodded. I got the distinct impression that he wants me to mentor her. Callie laughed hard. Are you kidding me? Like, Pitbeard would do anything you advised her on. She, like, totally hates you and stuff. I nodded. I know. So here's hoping that she just flat out refuses to work with me and I can be done with the whole thing. Yeah, everybody's just hoping it works itself out. It's not gonna work itself out. Do you think that she'll actually do that? Callie asked. I shrugged. Maybe. But I also know that Rainbow Beard asked her to take over the club so that I wouldn't. So I guess we'll see. Later, I got an email from Mr. Principal. It was to both Pitbeard and myself asking us to go to the next GSA meeting and get a feel for the way that the club is run under Rainbow Beard's leadership. I knew it was going to be a mess, but I was curious about how bad it could possibly be. Pretty bad. And oh my god, I had no idea. The day of the meeting, Pitbeard and I both went to Rainbow Beard's room for the meeting.
Welcome, friends! Miss Pitbeard and Miss Mandy are gonna be joining us today. Let's make our circle and share our preferred names and pronouns and one good thing,
Rainbow Beard said, moving desks. Everyone sat on the ground like elementary schoolers and made a circle. This is how cults start. I thought to myself as I joined them on the floor. Everyone went around and introduced themselves. We had everything from my name is John, my pronouns are he, him, and I'm gay, and my name is Hercules, my pronouns are it, itself, and I'm Pan, to I'm Sky, my pronouns are Cloud, Cloud self, and I'm Demi. At what point do we pump the brakes? I guess as long as they're not hurting anybody, interfering with somebody else's life, I'll allow it. I wish that I were kidding. To be clear, I'm by myself, and I am a huge LGBT supporter. We1 and Beetle have both dated trans people before. For Beetle, that was obviously before we got together, and it's fine. I do have an issue with neo-pronouns and some of the things that are making it harder for actual LGBT people to gain rights, but this isn't the time or place to lay out my entire viewpoint, but suffice to say that Cloud Self was something that I had to hold a poker face on. Yeah, that's a little outlandish, is it not? I think we can all admit to that, at the very least. When it got around to me, I simply said, I'm Miss Mandy, and something good is... I don't really remember what I said. The point is, I left my pronouns out. Rainbow Beard gave me a look, but continued on. For those curious, I'm clearly a girl, so I don't feel the need to say my pronouns. I also rarely will ask pronouns, because for someone with gender dysphoria, that is trying to pass as their preferred gender, and it can be insulting to ask for pronouns. Just call everyone dude, that's how I handle it. You can use dudettes if you're really into that, but for me, I think everybody's just dude. I watched as the meeting quickly devolved from there. One of the students took over Rainbow Beard's computer and started playing DJ, and the music choices were not school appropriate. Some students left the room and were running through the halls yelling. Still others climbed up on the tables and were dancing and filming TikTok videos. God, this is just, you're running a zoo, essentially. I had no desire to accidentally end up on camera and be considered part of this chaos. I knew right then why Mr. Principal wanted me to take the club. This was absolute chaos, and the liability for the school was real. I decided to take my leave. It wasn't like anyone would miss me. What a mental image, dude. How is this even possible? How's this been allowed thus far? I'm gonna have to change Mr. Principal's voice up. He's not take charge enough for the Arnie voice. He probably knew all this was going on. He's like, I don't know, it'll work itself out. A couple of days later, Rainbow Beard was gone, and Pitbeard and I were in a meeting with Mr. Principal about the club.
Were you both able to make it to the last club meeting?
Mr. Principal asked.
Yes, but Mandy was only there for a little bit. I stayed the whole time,
Pitbeard said, trying to throw me under the bus. Nice try. I nodded. Yes, sir. I saw what I needed to see. It was chaos. There was no remote semblance of decorum. Students were dancing on tables, filming freaking TikToks, running around in the halls, playing loud music with lyrics that are not appropriate for school. I understand that this is an after-school club, but it's still on school grounds, and the campus is responsible. I didn't want to be a party to that, and as an invited guest, I didn't feel like it was my place to try and undermine Rainbow Beard, so yeah, I left. Mr. Principal nodded.
I completely understand, and actually, that is why I called you in. GSA needs an overhaul. I had a vision for the club, and I want to make sure whoever takes it on shares that vision.
Is he being for real right now, or is he just trying to absolve himself of any responsibility? I think GSA could be something great. I want the students to learn that they can influence change and make the campus more accepting if they use their voice the right way. It's not the loudest voice that always sparks change. It's often the most measured, I said. God, I want to believe that's so bad.
Exactly. And that's what GSA should be about. The kids coming together for something greater and learning how to navigate a society that might not always be accepting.
Mr. Principal agreed. Yeah, they need to learn that everyone's entitled to respect, but that doesn't mean that we can't agree to disagree. If someone hates me because I'm bi, I don't really care. As long as I'm treated with respect and they don't try to force their views on me, they can absolutely disagree with me, I said. Mr. Principal nodded. I could see in Pitbeard's eyes, however, that she was fuming.
I actually talked to the kids, and they don't want GSA to change. They want it to be a place that they can just hang out,
she said. I nodded. I'm sure they do. There's no oversight to speak of, and they can just run amok.
They can still socialize, but there needs to be some structure,
Mr. Principal said. And I don't expect a change overnight. We're in mid-year. Some changes won't be made until next year, but at least there needs to be some sort of actual supervision and oversight, I said. Mr. Principal nodded.
Absolutely. As long as these kids are on our campus, we are responsible for them.
We then talked at length about the vision that Mr. Principal and I shared for the club, and Pitbeard tried to counter us at every turn, but ultimately, she agreed to work with me as a co-sponsor. God, already she's just exhausting. Probably her heart's in the right place, but it just reeks of, hey, fellow kids, you know? And this is all how I was forced to partner with Pitbeard. Obviously, there are some stories about us running the club together, but those are stories for future installments. I think this is a good place to wrap up this one. Some of you might have sided with Pitbeard on this one, and I get that. I am a rule follower by and large, and that doesn't always make me popular, but at the end of the day, I do what I think is the right thing to do, and I'll make no apologies for that. Also, to be clear, I never would have told the student that they weren't a cloud. I just find it damaging to the LGBT community that we entertain that sort of thing. I do hope that Cloud found themselves, or Cloud self, after graduation. Nope. They went off to college to live their best Cloud life. Unless they entered the workforce. I don't think, like, the vast majority of people would be willing to entertain that sort of thing. It's just that this is a welcoming and inclusive community, and some people insist on taking advantage of that to feel special, I guess. So yeah, that's it for this part. Next time we shift back to English Beard and the events that made me decide that I was done defending him. Ooh, juicy. I'll have part 4 up tomorrow in all likelihood. I think I was confused at the beginning of this post. I was like, oh no, they lost out or something like that. I was talking about English Beard, now Rainbow Beard. It's hard. You got so many beards to keep straight, you know? But I did my best with it, rolling with the punches, one and done, first impressions. That's kind of the gimmick of the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed it regardless. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on all the things. Thank you to my supporters over on Patreon and the YouTube channel members as well. Usually I stuff 2 parts into one, but I'm just trying to make it through the holidays, you know what I'm saying? So enjoy this for what it is, and we'll be back to the beefy videos quite soon. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, friends, bye-bye.